Welcome back, True Seeker. It's November 30th, 2018. If you watched my podcast earlier today, I talked about the death of Paul Walker, and he died on this day 4 years ago, November 30th, 2014. He starred in the movie The Skulls about Yale's Skull and Bones. And if you've seen that film, he drives a red Porsche, just like how he died in a red Porsche. And there's a little secret with the number 41 and Yale's Skull and Bones, which we're going to talk about. So anyhow, if you missed my podcast earlier, I talked about the death of Paul Walker on this day in history. I also talked about the death of William Huntington Russell, who founded Skull and Bones. And now, to close out the day, we get the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, number 41, who was a member of Yale Skull and Bones, just like his father, Prescott Bush, just like his son, George W. Bush. And I said why we were going to see George H.W. Bush die at age 94. He's now dead at 94. I said if he didn't die in September, he would most likely die in November, the 11th month. He has now died on the last day of the 11th month. And I'm going to show you why it happened today. It's bigger than just 41. We're going to cover a lot of information here. The point of this information is to understand how the world of elite, as we call them, operate. They do everything by a code that is hidden within the English language in the Gregorian calendar, which is the calendar system we're now on. Been educating about this for 5 years. I wrote a book about it. You can get the book. It's linked in the description of every video I make. It's about 800 pages long, and it's about $5. And to get your money's worth, you just got to read the first 5 pages. The rest is all bonus. I'm going to skip past what's coded in the headline and just get to the meat of this. So it's November 30th. 11 plus 30 is 41. George H.W. Bush was the 41st president. There's an author out there. His name's Manly P. Hall. He was a Freemason. He wrote the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And in that book, he shares briefly about this code of letters and numbers. He shares 2 ciphers. This is the cipher he says to investigate. What this is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. So S is the 19th letter of the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. When you get to S, it's the 19th letter. The numerology of 19 is 1 plus 9 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. So S is 1. K is the 11th letter. 11 is 1 plus 1 is 2. So K is 2. U is 21, 2 plus 1 is 3. L is 12, 1 plus 2 is 3. So you do that with each letter, you break it down, you get the Gematria value of the word. Skull and Bones is 41. So that's one cipher. The 4 ciphers you want to know to see everything are the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The alphabetic order with numerology, which we just did. And then the other 2 are just flipping the alphabetic order around, making Z1, counting back to A is 26. And then using the numerology on that order. So we're going to talk about these 4 ciphers, and you'll see just how exact of a puzzle this is. With regards to 41, it has a connection to the name George Herbert Walker Bush. His name in Gematria sums to 118. This year on September 4th, 9/4, the day leaving 118 days left in the year, he was honored for his 1,000 points of light speech. And we'll get to how that connects to 94 later. But it wasn't an accident that he was honored on the day, leaving 118 days left in the year. I even speculated before that day came after McCain passed that we might see him die on September 4th. Instead, there was a story about him getting honored for the 1,000 points of light and how he was in ill health. I also said that we'll see how his death is connected to John McCain's. I'm going to show you just how connected his death is to John McCain in days as we move along. But Skull and Bones, 41. When you write out George Herbert Walker Bush, 118. When you write out 41, also 118. And there's a greater piece here. The word Templar has Gematria 41. The Knights Templar were a Masonic order, just like Skull and Bones is a Masonic order. And Skull and Bones, which number 41, George H.W. was a part of, Skull and Bones gets their symbolism from an ossuary, which is an ancient way of burying the dead, which is how the Knights Templar buried their dead. Talked about this in greater detail this morning in regards to the death of the man who founded Yale. But the Knights Templar would bury their dead in an ossuary. And again, the way you bury the dead in an ossuary is you take a dead body and you put it in shallow dirt and you leave it there until the body decomposes and all that's left is the bones. And then you take the bones and you put them in a specific arrangement in a box, which is known as an ossuary, and you finish it, the arrangement of the bones, by putting the thigh bones at the top, the longest bones in the body, crossing them, and then you put the skull on the top, skull and bones. The symbolism comes from how you bury the dead in an ossuary, which was the technique of burying the dead of Templar. So you see how all of these numbers come together. November is also the month that has Gematria of 41, which we've already talked about in regards to why I said he would die in this month in this year at age 94. Guess what? When you write out November 30th, it sums to 94. November also equals 94. When you write out 94, it sums to 147. U.S. President equals 147. President of the United States equals 147. It's not an accident that there's 147 windows at the White House. Of course, Washington, D.C., where the White House is named after the Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. Freemason equals 147. So does conspiracy. And guess how many days it is today from George W. Bush's birthday, his son? If you guessed 147, you're right on the money. Today is 147 days after George W. Bush's birthday. Let's not forget that Barbara died earlier this year by similar numbers, which we'll get to. Keep in mind that today leaves 31 days left in the year. His initials HW equal 31. He died in Houston today, 31. There was a story about his doctor being killed earlier this year in a drive-by shooting. We're going to talk about how that story is connected to today. Drive-by has that Gematria 41. So all things we've been talking about throughout the year. George H.W. Bush was hospitalized this year on May 27th. That was a national news story. That was the 147th day of the year. His wife, Barbara, had died 41 days before he was hospitalized. How perfect. His wife died April 17th. We'll get to why that matters. A rearrangement of the numbers 147. That was 147 days before September 11th. And why does that matter? It's because George H.W. Bush gave the speech about a new world order, a world free of terrorism, on September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day of the attack, and where his son was president. So Barbara died 147 days before that important anniversary. Notice that May 27th leaves 218 days left in the year. This is not one of the base ciphers, but this is a tribute in English to Greek isopsephy in Hebrew Gematria, this chart. It's called English Extended. Death is 218 in that cipher. So that's not one of our 4 base ciphers that I talked about, but understand there are many ciphers in use in the English language. I primarily use the base 4. Sometimes I'll touch on others because they're relevant. I've been talking about how all year that hospitalization has been foretelling his death at age 94. The day that Barbara died, April 17th, that was the 107th day of the year. For the record, George Bush is 107. From Barbara's death to George H.W.'s death today is 227 days. Remember, Washington, D.C. is the home of the ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, which equals 227. 227 is the 49th prime number. Scottish equals 49, so does America, so does Washington. They're all 49. Special numbers. For the record, just using the alphabetic order, if you write out 22 divided by 7, it equals 314. This is just some bonus knowledge. If you're not aware of what 22 divided by 7 is in mathematics, it's pi 3.14. Our entire English language is based on this code. Also in the base ciphers, 22 divided by 7 equals 118, like George Herbert Walker Bush. And for the record, 360, like the degrees in a circle, equals 227, like 22 divided by 7. So he died 227 days after his wife. Another way to say that is their deaths were a span of 228 days apart. If you count all of the days, including April 17th up to November 30th. The first way is just 227 days after. This count counts April 17th as well. 228 days, death, 228. This is also outside of the base ciphers. This is the cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24. Death is 38 with the alphabetic order. 38 times 6 is 228. We talk about this often. I even talked about it this morning in the podcast. United States of America, for the record, is also 228, a nation that began with a genocide and which has been at war pretty much since the day it was created. A nation of death and killing, ruled over by a death cult, which is Freemasonry. Freemasonry, when you take your secret oath to become a member, what do? You wear a blindfold with a noose around your neck. What is the third thing you have to do in your 3 degrees to become a master mason? You have to wear a blindfold and rest in a coffin. Freemasonry is a death cult. Freemasonry is what has always run this nation by this code. And it's not an accident that this nation run by Masons from the beginning has this death gematria. From the day that he was hospitalized, May 27th, the 147th day of the year, to the day he died was 187 days later. Ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry is also 187. So is George Washington. So is Washington, D.C. If you're new to my work, there's a whole lot of 187 in Washington, D.C. It's not an accident that Donald Trump had his GOP convention begin July 18th, 18/7, a span of 187 days from Inauguration Day. I told people then that could be the sign that he is the man for the rigged election, along with a few other things. Also, George W. Bush, George W., his birthday is July 6th, the 187th day of the year. If I remember, at the end of this video, I'll go up and show you how that CNN posted their article at 12:14 and not by accident. That's the day in history that George Washington died, December 14th. And what's weird is if you write out December 14th as words, it sums to 187. Same as if you write the words 12:14, it equals 187. Show you at the end. CNN posted their article at 12:14, not by accident. Educated about all these things for a long time. CNN posts all their articles by the numbers because this is how all news is made every single day, which again, I've been proving for 5 years straight. My book, if you read it, it's undeniable. Anyway, George W. Bush, from his birthday to his father's date of death, 147 days. And if I've hit you with too many numbers and you're like, wait a minute, I can't keep track of all this, let me just rewind back to the 147 section. It's the number that goes with his age, 94. Remember, when you write out 94, it's 147, like U.S. president, like November 30th, like November, like President of the United States, like the 147 windows on the White House, like Freemason, like conspiracy, which this is. Poor mind-controlled George W. Bush. He's probably dancing somewhere right now, totally confused. Probably mispronouncing every word in the English sentence. I'm speaking like him now. Oh my God, when this guy was the president, I was just wondering where in the world I lived. Thought the Twilight Zone was sanity. Anyway, earlier today in the podcast, if you missed it, talked about the death of William Huntington Russell, one of the founders of Yale Skull and Bones. I just want to show you something. Mason and Jewish Gematria is 211. When you write out November 30th with the alphabetic order, it's 211. That's the 47th prime number. His name, William Huntington and Russell, they're all 47. Same with New Haven, CT, the mailing address for the city that Yale Skull and Bones is in. And where does 47 comes from? It comes from the compass in the Freemason logo. Set at 47 degrees is a tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid. The 47th problem of Euclid is about how to establish foundation for a structure. This is our most pure cipher. Foundation's 47. The circle at the top of the compass is called the pole star. Pole star is 47. That's the circle at the 47-degree angle. But look, I just want you to see how important this number is to DC. DC's 47. Government's 47, and keep in mind, this is the city named after a Freemason. It was designed by a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason from France, L'Enfant. But government's 47, authorities 47, president is 47, White House is 47, Republican is 47. They came out of the Whig Party 47. Lincoln made that transition, Whig to Republican. The same man remembered for saying 7 years ago. Democrats 47. Even the name Trump is 47. He was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged election. So anyway, today's the 211 day, which is the 47th prime. If you think this is some sort of accident, check out The Apprentice. The Apprentice. 211. See that 68 there? Look at the name Donald John Trump. 68. CIA runs the show, 68. Don't forget, before H.W. was president, he was vice president, and before that, he was the head of the CIA. And don't forget, in light of 68, 911 made the national emergency dialing code in 68. World Trade Center construction began. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, all in 68. That was a span, from Bush's birthday to 9/11, a span of 68 days. Space Odyssey 2001 came out in 68. Jets won their only championship, not by accident. Rigged sports, rigged news, rigged elections, murder by numbers. It's all done by the code. New York Jets in 68. There was a plane crash in 68 on September 11th. It was flight 1611, like how the King James Bible came out in 1611. On September 11th in 68. 11/9. You get it? Listen again if you need to. So now let's go into a few other things. March 31st, the movie The Skulls came out. The Skulls, right? The 31st. Paul Walker ends up dying on the day, leaving 31 days left in the year in a red Porsche, right? That supposedly was decimated. In the movie The Skulls, he drives this red Porsche right here. And the movie's about Skull and Bones, right? Paul Walker died on this day in history. He died 79 days after his birthday. Murder 79, okay? Paul Walker died 79 days after his birthday. I covered that this morning in the podcast. So let me I'm going to come back to some of these things here. From the day that George H.W. Bush was honored on September 4th, the day leaving 118 days left in the year, at age 94, September 4th, 94. From that day to his death is a span of 88 days later, also 2 months and 27 days, kind of like 227. He was honored for the 1,000 points of light, right? The Republican Party's 88, Masonic rituals 88, Trump's 88. I said a long time ago, I haven't talked about this for a while now, but I said anytime presidents travel outside of the country for big events, crazy stuff happens in the United States of America. Happens again and again. It's like a very repetitive pattern. Just watch that from this day forward. When presidents leave the country, big news happens in the U.S. Trump right now is in Argentina for G20. Also, I covered the killing of George H.W. Bush's doctor in a drive-by shooting on July 20th. Do you remember this story? From that date of the killing of his doctor to today, that story was in Houston too, like how he died in Houston. From that day to today is 133 days later, president 133, White House 133, government 133. Show you something here. They said it was a drive-by that his doctor was killed in. Drive-by 41, skull and bones 41. Here we are on 41 day. And from Bush's birthday to the death of this doctor was 38 days later. Death equals 38. The date had 38 numerology. The doctor's name equaled 38. You know? So anyway, there was that. McCain. I said McCain and Bush. When McCain died, I came out with a video saying how Bush's death is near, and these men's deaths are going to be synced up. McCain was a Republican who has a story for crashing in a plane in a war, right? Bush, a Republican who has a story for a plane crashing in a war. And I guarantee you both of these men's stories are straight up BS. I guarantee it. Everything about these people are lies, propaganda. Anyway, from McCain's death to Bush's death is 97 days, which was one of our big death numbers. Death 97. Here, I want to show you something about death in the base ciphers. We just said about 38, right? Death is also 97 and 25. 97 is the 25th prime number. So death has two connections to 97. McCain and Bush dead 97 days apart. How about the Gematria plane crash? 97. Not an accident. As for his own birthday, he's died 171 days after it. That's the 18th triangular number, meaning if you add 1 through 18 together, it equals 171. Consider he's dead at the end of 2018. His birth numerology is also 61, the 18th prime number, right? It's a lot of 18 there. So now what I want to talk about are some other stories that you might have missed that I've covered. Recently, Barbara Bush Jr., I know you don't really call a woman Jr., but I don't know what else to call her. George W. Bush's daughter, Barbara Bush, just got married, and I want you to see how sick this ritual was. It is just sick. So, from her own birthday to the date of the wedding, October 7th, was a distance of 50 days, right? And the name Bush has Gematria 50 like America. Oh, something else I should mention about that is circle equals 50. And we were talking about pi and how his wife's death and his death are 227 days apart, like how 22 divided by 7 gives you pi, which has to do with cycles and circles. Anyway, from the wedding to her upcoming birthday was 50 days. And we'll get to what she said about how they had to rush this wedding because Papa Bush, her grandfather, was about to die. But look at this. From her father's birthday to the wedding on October 7th was 93 days. And why does that matter? The name Barbara Bush with the alphabetic order is 93, okay? Barbara Pierce Bush, you see how her name is 149? Barbara Pierce Bush. I'll show you something here. Something you should know. Oh, don't do this to me. Oh, come on, Gematrinator. Okay, you're just going to take my word for this, but with the alphabetic order, skull and bones equals 149, just like Barbara Pierce Bush, right? He's a member of Skull and Bones, so is his father, so is Prescott Bush, the senator, the guy who profited off of World War II in a big way, selling to both sides. Anyway, 93 days after his own birthday, his daughter Barbara Bush gets married. And consider his mother, Barbara Bush, died just shy of her 93rd birthday, which we'll get to in a second. Now, from The grandfather's birthday, number 41 to the wedding, was 118 days, right? We talked about how when you write out 41, it equals 118. When you write out George Herbert Walker Bush, it equals 118. When you write out ossuary, it equals 118. Talked about these things. Here it is right here. You know, how perfect. She gets married on his 118th day, right? And the sickest part of all, from the death of Barbara Bush on April 17th, 17/4, like 174, to the wedding is 174 days, right? And now here's the kicker. Number of the beast equals 174. Barbara Bush, the daughter of George W., look how old she was when she got married. She was 36 years old at the time. She's now 37, but when she got married, she was 36. 666, the number of the beast, is the 36th triangular number. When you add 1 through 36, it equals 666. Number of the beast, 174. New World Order, 174. George Herbert Walker Bush spoke multiple times of the New World Order. So did John McCain. Things I talked about the day McCain died. Also, she got married on October 7th, a date that we can write as 10/7, right? Like how George Bush equals 107. You see how sick it is? Everything these elites do by this code, undeniably, you know. And I just want to show you this. The media was emphasizing what the daughter said about having to rush the wedding to that date. She said it wasn't going to be that date, but then her grandfather her words were, while he's still feeling good. You know, a lot of news stories emphasize this, while he's still feeling good. That's why they had to have the wedding then, supposedly. But we see the real reason. That phrase sums to 118. Like the grandfather's name, like how it came on his 118th day of his age. Sometimes I wonder if these people even really say it or if the media just knows to code it, because the media is part of this whole thing. So, also, for a little more information on the death of Barbara Bush, she was born on June 8th. A lot like how so many things went down in 68, the 9/11 year. She was born on a date with 58 numerology. Bush and George W. Bush equal 58. Let me see if this is working yet. There we go. Watch. Skull and Bones, 149. Bush, 58. George W. Bush, 58. You can go back and check this out. I guarantee you it's true. George W. Bush won the election, which went down to Florida with 271 electoral votes, the 58th prime. It's a big number there. Freemasonry equals 58. Secret Society, 58. And there's a whole lot more to that list. Again, the Bush family has their portraits up in the Freemason headquarters in D.C. And this code is Masonic. Also, just for the record, Yale equals 43. Don't forget that W was the 43rd president. Jeb Bush was the 43rd governor of Florida. And the grandfather who died today was the 43rd vice president. New Haven CT also has the Gematria 43. And Florida has the Gematria 43. The election went down to Florida to name number 43, the Yale Skull and Bones alumni, right? So, with regards to the death of Barbara, again, she died on the 107th day of the year. George Bush, 107. Ritual sacrifice, 107. That was a date with 59 numerology. Freemasonry, 59. It's all Freemasonry. It's also a date with 39 numerology. George and Masonry equal 39. She died 52 days shy of her 93rd birthday. Now, I want you to see why this is so important. President has Gematria 52, so does White House, so does government, so does authority. The Cabal equals 52. So does Kabbalah. In case you're new here, this whole thing with letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah. Kabbalah has a text called the Book of Formation. And in the Book of Formation, it says God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. The physical model of Kabbalah is called the Tree of Life. The Jewish name for it's the Etzat Chaim. So 52, big number here. The word death also has Gematria 52. Better yet, NWO as in New World Order equals 52, and New World Order is 174, right? 174. She died 52 days shy of her birthday on 17/4. Her husband couldn't say New World Order enough. I'll note that Manhattan, the site of the big New World Order false flag, for the record, false flag, 174. Don't mind the 33, like how it was 33 years from 68 to 2001. If you ever read my book, there's a really great chapter on 9/11. Undeniable. But anyway, it did go down in Manhattan. Manhattan Project, you know, prior to 9/11, ground zero meant the place on Earth where an atomic or nuclear bomb detonates, those buildings turn to dust. I'm just saying, Manhattan Project, World Trade Centers in Manhattan, things to think about. For the record, number of the beast, also 174. New York is 666, the number of the beast. Samael, a figure like Satan, just little education here. Samael, he's an evil archangel. Samael 666, an archangel. And that verse about 666 begins, here was wisdom 147. So just some more numbers to think about. All of this code is biblical. Again, that's all covered in the first chapter of the book. First chapter of the book's about why there's 26 letters in the English alphabet, what it has to do with Kabbalah. Information every English-speaking person deserves to know. Now, here's another one. George H.W. Bush, on September 4th, honored for his 1,000 points of light speech, right? The headlines came out about this on September 3rd, the day leaving 119 days left in the year. Did you know that Osama bin Laden's father supposedly died in a plane crash on September 3rd in 1967? 119. That's a lot like the way the rest of the world writes the date September 11th, 11/9. It's also like the 93 World Trade Center bombing and Flight 93 and the first flight hitting the World Trade Centers at 9:03 a.m. It's like how New York, look at this, you guys, all that 93 in New York, NY 93. Isn't it something? One World Trade Center, 93. So anyway, the headlines came out September 3rd that he'd be honored the next day, September 4th, for his 1,000 points of light speech. And again, September 4th, 9/4, he's 94 years old. Chaldean cipher, which isn't a base cipher, but it's another cipher out there that's important. Take a look. 1,000 points of light, 94. George Bush, 41. Like how he was number 41. Like how we could just call him George Bush back then because his son wasn't King George II or the 43rd president of the United States. Kenny Bunkport, where he was honored, has the Gematria 58 and 68. My, oh my. Secret Society equals 166, 58, and 185. Same ciphers. Check this out. Secret Society. The main public emphasized that points of light, which had Gematria 170 like sacrifice. From his birthday to the honoring, or actually, never mind. So anyway, a lot of little notes there. I think we hit all the big ones. For one last thing that could be coincidental or not, from the funeral, or not the funeral, excuse me, from the wedding to the death of George H.W. Bush was 54 days later. And when I see that number in light of Bush, it makes me think of the assassination of JFK. Freemasonic equals 54. Dealey Plaza equals 54. I want to show you something else that just happened recently. You see how Redskins is 54? Did you catch the Thanksgiving Day game this year? Redskins, Cowboys box score. They played on Thanksgiving, which was November 22nd, the anniversary of the death of JFK. Here was the Thanksgiving Day game. 23-31. How many points is that? 54? 54, right? 54 points. Redskins go down. And think about these cities here, right? JFK was killed in Dallas. JFK was killed in Dallas, you guys, in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, in the 187th year of the nation's existence. And his body was flown back to D.C. right away, where the Redskins are from. You got this game going on the anniversary of Thanksgiving. JFK was killed on 11/22/63, right? That was 11 plus 22 plus 63 is 96. The word Freemason equals 96. Come back up to this top headline right here. George H.W. Bush dead at 94. What's that equal? 96 like Freemason? That headline also sums to 186 like George H.W. Bush. Just in case you haven't read my book, or there's so many important things about the death of JFK, as well as his brother Bobby Kennedy. But here's something you got to know. So, like I told you earlier, there's a cipher where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, right? If you write out JFK assassination, it equals 187 with the alphabetic order. And if you multiply that times 6, it's 11/22, like the day he was killed. And again, he died in the 187th year of the nation's existence in an area named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. We talked about how ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry equals 187. Here, let me come back to the base ciphers too. JFK was the only Catholic president ever to date. He was number 35, right? He was number 35, and he died at age 46. Like how there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. So, anyway, I think we hit all the nails I can think of for right now. It's funny, just yesterday, a guy was trolling me on my Patreon page saying, George H.W. Bush is still alive. Wrong again. Well, he got to say it for one more day. Because like I said, he's going to go in September or November of this year. And all the numbers he's died by are all the numbers I've been educating about in regards to what we're going to see with his death. So, you know, like I always say, anybody who mocks my work or criticizes me or doubts me, I always get the last laugh. And that's because I've figured out the code that the world elite operate by. I've been explaining it plain as day for 5 years now. You know, I would have thought tens of millions of people would have caught on at this point. I mean, what have I done here in the last 5 years? Called nearly every sports championship before it happened, you know, called news stories several times before they happened, called celebrity deaths before they happened, pretty much nailed Prince's death right on the nose, you know, called royal baby names before they were born. The world elite do everything by a very repetitive code. And again, you can watch my podcast this morning. We were talking about Skull and Bones, why Paul Walker died today, why William Huntington Russell died the day he did. I guess for kicks, we can do that real quick. I want you to see, you know, you're in these fraternities, you're going to go out by the code. Not Bill Russell. Where's William Russell? Hold on. I guess just to be thorough, in case you missed what we covered this morning about the death of William Russell, now the name of the trust for let's see. Oh, come on, Zach. I got too many posts. Here, I'll find it. I just posted about it recently. There we go. So, one of the main founders of Skull and Bones, he died May 19th. That's the 139th day of the year, right? You probably don't know that, but I'll just show you. May 19th is the 139th day of the year, okay? That's a big number with Freemasonry. Freemasonry is 139. Freemasons founded this nation, America, 139. Big number with these people. So this guy founded the Masonic order, Skull and Bones, right? When he died, it was his 281st day of his age. From his last birthday to his date of death to his 281st day of his age, that is the 60th prime number, 281. And the word skull equals 60, okay? He also died at age 75, this man. Dead at age 75. Now notice, he died in the year 85, and he died 85 days before his upcoming birthday. So dead in 85 and 85 days before his upcoming birthday. Why does that matter? Again, it goes back to the Templar thing. Templar equals 85. We talked about how Templar also equals 41. And the Templars buried their dead in an ossuary, which is where the symbolism of skull and bones comes from. And now here we are on the day leaving 31 days left in the year. And I think I forgot to mention this note. HW is 31, so is Templar. So again, all of this goes back to where the symbolism of skull and bones comes from. Is there any other note here? William Russell equals 185, like secret society. The day he died had numerology of 127. That's the 31st prime number. And Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 127. No doubt all of these networks are linked. It's just like how the Scottish Rite headquarters are in DC and they have portraits up of the Bush family. And again, this man, every part of his name, William Huntington Russell, sums to 47. Notice William Russell's also 94. And how old is George Herbert Walker Bush at the time of his death? 94. So, fitting podcast this morning, capped off with the death of HW by the numbers. And if you got here late for this live stream, be sure to watch this from the beginning. You're not going to want to miss the information that was put out in this video. Please, everybody, the way these videos reach people, if you want this video to reach people, you have to understand the way YouTube algorithm works. The more likes the video has, the more likely it's to show up in a stranger's feed. Now, YouTube censors all of my videos. If you like the video and come back in 10 minutes, your like will probably be gone. And then you can like it 20 more times. It'll probably keep disappearing. But if more people like it, there will be more likes on the video. The other thing you can do to help it show up in other people's feed is just leave a comment. Just say like, thank you for the video. You don't have to write a lot. Thanks. The more comments, the more likely it is to show up in a stranger's feed. And that's what needs to happen. These videos need to reach people. I've been working my ass off for 5 years straight. Like, I didn't just figure this out overnight. This is from hard work. This is called determination. My determination came from September 11, 2001. I saw that was a numerological ritual that went down that day. I knew these people were operating by numbers. It took me a long time to figure out what it was all about. And, you know, if you watch my live stream today, at the end of it, this news broke about the Chiefs cutting their running back. I solved that riddle in about 5 seconds, and so can you by learning this code. And here, I'm just going to close it out with this to make a point. Kareem Hunt birthday. This is how fast it is to do Gematria when you know the code. His birthday is August 6th, right? So we're just going to plug in from his birthday to today, the day he got cut. This star running back dumped because he supposedly beat a woman. So from August 6th to today is how many days later? It's 116 days later, right? What do you think is going to happen when we write in the name Kareem Hunt? What do you think is going to happen? 116 with the alphabetic order. And again, when I taught this code for the first 3 years, all I knew was the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. That's what Manly P. Hall teaches about in his book. The Secret Teachings of All Ages. See why his book's called that? The Freemason? He revealed this cipher and this cipher. He didn't tell about the reverse ciphers because Masons can only give away so many of their little tricks. But the Secret Teachings of All Ages, 147, like Freemason, like conspiracy. So it took me a while to figure out the second half. But if you just know the first half, you'll see enough. It's why I was able to do video after video, headline after headline, just knowing these two. It usually is just this way. You know, every single day, all news is manufactured by this code. And news and sports are synced together. It's undeniable. So please hit the like button. Please share the video. And please, if you have not done so already, I'm about to raise the price on this book again. The book has sold 50 copies so far this week. We're averaging 10 sales a day, which is absolutely pathetic. Again, I need to get this book to 10,000 sales for a publisher to put it in print. Right now, we're about halfway through the goal. The problem with only being halfway is that the book's been for sale since March, and this book should have sold at least 10,000 copies the first week it came out. Where else can you get knowledge like this in the world? Seriously. Who else has figured out things as far as I have, honestly? You know? Everything I wrote about in this book comes more true every single day. And where else can you get a book that's 800 pages long for $5 that's this important? If you doubt the book that I've written, you just come read the reviews. You just come read the reviews. You won't have any more doubts. You know, I'm just going to scan through some of these reviews here. The most informative book you will ever own. You will regret not buying this book. This awesome book is extremely detailed and packed with tremendous amount of epic education on Gematria you won't find anywhere else. Not just education about Gematria, but just education about the world, period. Plus, when you understand this code, it just takes everything else to the next level. One of the best books I've ever read. This is Frank from Chicago. You know what? Frank even called me up on the Gematria hotline tonight. Hey, if anybody wants to call in, the Gematria hotline is open. I'll take calls for a little bit. 507 wait a minute, that's not my area code. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to memorize my new number. It's 509. 509 is the area code. 731-0567 if anybody wants to call in, talk about the death of George H.W. But Frank called in tonight on the hotline. He said, hey, man, you see H.W. died? I said, yep, about to start the video. Thank you, Frank. Simply fascinating study. Most important book I've ever read, hands down. Amazing information, very detailed. A lot of time was put in this ebook. Yeah, you know, and it needs to not be an ebook. It needs to be a book in print. This person said, I'm brilliant. Thank you so much. And a good soul. Appreciate it. They called the book like a second Bible. Some people might be offended by that, but really, the knowledge in this book, it's going to take you places. We got a caller from Jacksonville, from John McCain land. What's going on, caller?
Hey, Zach. My name is Carla, and I'm calling from Jacksonville, Florida. Couple questions for you. Number one, is your book available in print?
No, because my publisher backed out on me, and everyone I've talked to has been scared to print this book. And I had one publisher say that if I can show that there's an interest in 10,000 sales, then they'd be willing. So I told them, I said, well, it won't take me any time to get to 10,000 sales, but I was wrong because here we are 8 months later and I'm still not there. I'm halfway there. So the thing is,
well, it's available only in a download. If you download it, can you then print it?
Yes. I always encourage people to do that, and there's multiple ways to do that. You can take it to your local copy shop. You can print it on your own printer. Another way to do it is to go to lulu.com, lulu.com, and
LULU?
that's right. Now, I'll warn you, when you go to Lulu, you got to play with the formatting, and that can be a little bit of a headache. but you can get the formatting just right the way you want it, and the book will be printed as you see in the thing. You could spend about an hour doing formatting to make it fit the way you want, but that is a way to get it in print. Or just take it to your local copy shop and they'll do it for you.
I'll do it that way. Okay, the other question I have for you, I haven't bought the book yet, but I'm fixing to now that I know that I can print it. I don't do well reading it on the computer screen.
I completely get that.
Plus, I want to be able to make notes, you know?
Exactly. I'm with you. I want the book to be in print so bad, and it's been a real frustrating process to try and get it in print. So
that's a shame. God. Well, either way, though, as long as I can print it, I'm good. George H.W. Bush and Barbara had a daughter that died when she was 4.
Let's look at it. I didn't know that. Do you know her name?
Yes, I was hoping you would decode that.
I'll do it right now. I probably won't even take one.
Down, so I can't really see what you're doing or hear what you're doing online.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm trying to just see if do you know what date or year it happened?
Let's see. When did I'll do George H.W. Bush's daughter.
She was 3. Robin, the 3-year-old daughter.
Okay, they were saying on the news that she was 4. I knew that they had a daughter. Let's see.
It was 1953. I don't have a date here, though.
What was her name?
Her name was Robin. She died in 53 from leukemia, it says. And what's funny is in this reporting, this old story I'm reporting, it reads this. Decades later, leukemia is no longer a death sentence for children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital estimates the survival rate for the most common type of leukemia to be 94%. And that just makes me wonder, in light of how this man just died at 94.
Oh, my God, that's freaky. All right, let's see. Robin died peacefully on October 11th, 1953.
Okay, so let's look at that real quick. Hold on, I put the phone down so I can do this. October 11th, 1953. So, October 11th leaves 81 days left in the year. I call that the ritual number because with the alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order, ritual equals 81. I want to see how that measured with the Bush, their birthdays. So June 12th is the birthday of, hold on, October 11th. So,
I love this stuff. This is so cool.
so she died. Okay, so she died 121 days after HW's birthday, and I know right away what that is. Blood sacrifice is 121. So Robin died 121 days after his birthday. By the way, the name Robin equals 58, like Bush, like Freemasonry, like secret society. The name Robin also sums to 31, like how he's dead on the day, leaving 31 days left in the year. So there's that.
Oh, my God.
Oh, and here's I know what else the other kicker is. Her birth. Well, let me make sure that Barbara Bush's birthday is June 8th. I'm pretty sure it is. But if it is, I already see what they did with that too. Barbara Bush. Yeah, her birthday is June 8th. So that means that from her birthday to the death of the child was her 127th day. Oh, no, it wasn't. Excuse me. No, it was 126 days later, 18 weeks, the reflection of 81. But anyway, from the father's birthday to the death of the child, 121 days, and that's blood sacrifice. And
oh my God,
that's sick. Yeah, these people are sick.
It looks like her full legal name, her proper name, was Pauline Robinson Bush.
Let me check that out. Pauline Robinson Bush.
And she was born. Well, let me know when you're ready for that.
So I looked at it. Her name has there's some things that are interesting about her name. It has the gematria of the word geometry. I'm just going to look at Pauline Bush too. It's funny that they call her. So Pauline Bush is 47. They're the big number there with Freemasonry. It's also 61, like the father's birth numerology. Pauline Bush is 61, which is the 18th prime, and she did die 18 weeks after the mother's birthday. Again, on the day leaving 81 days left in the year. So.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. But it's like this all throughout history, so none of it even surprises me more. That's why I'm just like, here, throw something at me. I'll do it in real time. I just know that these people do everything this way. Everything. I'm glad you called in. You got great information.
I've been trying to play with it a little bit, but I think what I'm going to do is do like an Excel spreadsheet and go through and put down all the different numbers and what all the stuff means, because I don't know how to associate the numbers with like all the stuff that you have memorized already.
Sure. So for me, I've literally been doing this for 5 years straight. So a lot of it sticks with me. But I imagine after you read my book, like if you read the chapter on murder by numbers, you're gonna remember a lot of numbers and just how repetitive they are in these death rituals. So.
Okay. Well, as soon as we hang up, I'm going to go get the book. I'm excited now that I know that I can print it.
And it is a lot to print because it's nearly 800 pages long. Something you can do is just have sections of the book printed if there's just certain chapters you're interested in, or you can have the whole thing printed. So just giving you some options there to think about.
I'll just go ahead and have the whole thing printed. It's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
Stuff. I'm not good at it yet, but I'm working it. I'll figure it out.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate you.
All right, you're welcome. You have a great night. Take care.
You too.
Right,
bye.
I noticed this thing up here about how she was second lady of the United States when they were vice president from 81, like how they lost their child in 81. And yeah, it's something else. It's just what I mean. You understand this code, you can go back all throughout history and see what was really done. No accident that child died 121 days after Bush's birthday there. Big blood sacrifice number. Consider 121 also has a square root of 11, the master number, and now he's dead here in the 11th month. So if anybody else wants to phone in with something they know, I'm here listening. If not, we can wrap it up so other people can start this video over and get it from the beginning. Again, that number to call in, 509-731-0567. Let me take a peek at the chat real quick. Oh, we got a caller. Hey, caller.
Stop giving fucking advice you know nothing about.
What? I can't hear you. That dude must be in Skull and Bones. I heard him say something to stop giving advice about something you know nothing about. Well, I'll tell you what. If you can't see the relevance of the work I'm doing, then you don't know nothing. Because I've been proving my points for 5 years straight. But hey, if you are a critic and you want to call in, I will have a conversation with you and I will let you speak. And I know a lot of people troll my work, so you don't have to scream at me. I'll let you talk. Hello, caller?
Yo, what's going on, Zach?
What's up?
I just want to be clear here. Did you call George W. Bush's death on November 30th? Or did you just say that November was when he was going to die?
I thought dates that made a lot of sense were November 8th or November 18th. But then this morning when I was looking at Paul Walker's death, I was like, yeah, today's got a great Skull and Bones date. That's why I ended up talking about the death of William Russell this morning. So I didn't call his death though for today, but I did say that I expected him to go in either the 9th month or the 11th month. So
as somebody who doesn't, well, to be honest with you, I don't really believe your work. I'm kind of I'm a
slow.
Yeah, I'm pretty slow.
Yeah, I get that.
And I just want to talk about your Alex Smith video that you made. Did you think Alex Smith That was actually scripted by the Masons, that injury to his leg, where he broke 2 bones.
So here, let's pull up the Alex Smith thing. Hold on, let's pull up the Alex Smith post because it's actually a good thing to talk about in light of Skull and Bones. The NFL, American football.
Because I would think if this was scripted by the Masons, that it wouldn't actually be a real injury.
Well, it could be a fake injury. It could be a fake injury.
His leg snapped. You can see it on the video.
Well, you must have watched my video. I said that, yeah, you can see that his leg breaks in the video, but somebody did make a good point afterwards that called into my radio show, and they said, Zach, we're in the age of, television and Photoshop and video editing.
That was a live video.
Well, okay, so that's why I said, well, I didn't see it live. All I saw was the replay. Okay, and in live, you could tell that his leg snapped live?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go over this because these numbers fit in with Yale and Skull and Bones. And again, Walter Camp, who's credited with American football, went to Yale and probably was a member of Skull and Bones. So this injury happened on the 322nd day of the year, November 18th, the day leaving 43 days remaining, right? Okay. And the player on top of Alex Smith is J.J. Watt, who has a March 22nd birthday, 322, right? 322 on the 322nd day of the year. And he wears the number 99. It's the 99th NFL season. This happened in week 11. Now, hold on. Alex Smith wears the number 11. J.J. Watt wears the number 99. And when you write out 11, it has Gematria of 99, just like Redskins. And who was in the stands for this game? Joe Theismann, who played for the Redskins 33 years earlier. Now, American football is credited to Masonry. Masonry equals 33, so does secrecy, so does order, so does the name camp. Ritual magic has to do with this code, and the word magic is 33. So you just start to look at all these things, and how does it work in your mind? Is it just all a coincidence? Because we're not even done yet.
Well, I definitely think that instance was a coincidence. I mean...
Really?
I don't see how, yeah.
How about the fact that Joe Theismann's birthday is 9/9, September 9th, and we're in the 99th NFL season, and he's got number 99 laying on top of Alex Smith, who had the same thing happen to him that happened 33 years earlier. Coincidence?
Well, do you think this is all scripted in advance?
So, again, I'm an open-minded person. I put out the theory that, here, I'm going to explain something. Let's come...
You mean to tell me before Alex Smith was born, they scripted that he would break his leg on this day?
Okay, look this up. Look this up right now. Joe Theismann has a 33-year-old nephew named Alex Smith. He has a 33-year-old nephew named Alex Smith. And let's not forget all the other coincidences. Alex Smith and Joe Theismann both broke their leg on the same hash mark on the field, at the exact same hash mark. They both finished the season with the exact same amount of passes, the exact same amount. They both also had games that finished with the exact same score. Doesn't that just seem like way too much of a coincidence?
It definitely does seem interesting.
Okay.
I will suggest to you that calling people slow isn't a great way to get people on board with your work.
Well, I don't think that my work's going to appeal to everyone. And honestly, I'm fed up with slow people. You know, the reason I'm doing this is because people are so slow and I'm so fucking irritated, honestly, man. You know, nobody should have been fooled by September 11th. Nobody. That was the biggest load of bullshit.
September 11th was actually, I thought it was staged by George W. Bush.
Okay, so anyway, I'm just explaining to you why my attitude is what it is. I shouldn't be having to spend my life waking people up to the obvious, but I do. So anyway, let me explain something that I threw out as a theory, which one of my followers came back and said I was silly for. So this number 322, it's not an arbitrary number. Ancient mystery religions equals 322. And what are the ancient mystery religions? They're Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from. Their alchemy, their hermeticism, their kundalini, they're all the things that the Freemasons are into. Also, Abrahamic religions equals 322. Abrahamic religions 322. That's Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, which are all based in the Old Testament. And in the beginning of the Old Testament is Genesis 3:22, which reads, "And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil." And if you take those words right there in the King James Version and in the New International Version, they're both different sets of words in both books, but in both versions, those words sum to 322, right? 322, and it's Genesis 3:22. This is about the tree of life from Kabbalah, this verse, good and evil. Now, the evil side of the tree of life is based on the hidden 11th Sephiroth. And this happened in week 11, this NFL injury. The evil side of the tree of life is called the Klippoth, which equals 111, just like Genesis, just like Alex Smith. And here's the other thing. Genesis 3:22 is the 78th verse of Genesis. Genesis also sums to 78. And the trippy thing about this injury is the name J.J. Watt equals 78. From the date of the injury to Lawrence Taylor's birthday is 78 days, and it's Lawrence Taylor who broke Joe Theismann's leg 33 years earlier.
Yeah.
All of this stuff perfectly points to that verse in the Bible. And supposedly, with the evil side of Kabbalah, you can cast real magic and hurt people. So I was explaining this, and one of my callers phoned in and said, Zach, now you're just getting silly. That's just like what they want people to believe. They can't really hurt people or have physical impact. And I said back to him, I said, well, honestly, man, I don't know. I don't know what the extent of the power of this knowledge is if you know how to harness it. Like, I'm not a sorcerer. I'm not a wizard. I'm not a witch or anything like that. I'm somebody who's a researcher who stumbled onto this code and saw how it's being used. I'm not the master of this code. I don't know what its full extent is. I said to that caller, I said, look, I said, you could be right. I could be silly, but I'm theorizing. Is it possible that they can cast magic and have a man's leg broken from the stands? Now, here's the thing I want to say about the Alex Smith breaking his leg. I've watched Alex Smith for most of his career because my dad's a 49ers fan. And I used to watch Alex Smith just get his world rocked game after game. He used to be a piñata out there behind the worst offensive line in the league. Alex Smith's probably taken more big shots in the NFL than probably anyone, maybe except for Cam Newton, because that guy also, man, they don't call the penalties on Cam Newton. It's like he's meant to take the vicious hits. But Alex Smith has taken so many brutal hits. The sack that broke his leg wasn't that bad. And it was like weird to think that that's the one that made his leg snap. And I know you get older and eventually the body wears down. You know, I'm his age and I've gone through it, but it just doesn't look like the kind of play where your leg would break. Now, I've seen the replay and seen how his leg, you know, goes limp like a noodle. So, I mean, it looks like it's broken on the screen, but I didn't see it live, and I saw the replay about 5 hours after it happened. I had someone say to me, Zach, they probably just edited it on the video screen, but here you are calling in, and you said you saw it break live. Still, man, the point is.
Right when it happened, I noticed it.
Okay, so, I mean, did it surprise you that his leg broke on that play?
Well, I saw him in excruciating pain on the ground, so, I mean, I thought that something bad happened. I mean,
okay.
like, I didn't really see his leg get snapped. Well, I mean, I did, but, like, it wasn't very clear because J.J. Watt was in the way. But, you know.
So if I were to just say this was a coincidence, all this is just a coincidence, to me, I just think that would be one of the dumbest statements you could make. I think my take on it, saying, look, I don't know exactly how they did this. I don't know if they used video editing. I don't know if they used some sort of sick black magic and made this happen. I don't know. By the way, black magic has Gematria 44 like broken leg, and the game did end with the sum of 44 points, just like it did 33 years earlier with Joe Theismann. But, you know, I don't have all the answers. All I can show you is what I know, and that's what I do every day on this channel. So anyway, I appreciate that you brought this up because it fits in with the whole skull and bones thing and the codes these people work by. But you were trying to like use this as an insult, and I take it you watched my video, and at no point in my video did I ever say that they you know, they faked it or anything. But I said this does seem to be a ritual, and yeah, I would say it was planned. I mean, how could you look? How could you say it was not planned in light of how perfectly every single thing lines up?
I mean, because it just looked like a real injury, and I would think that it wouldn't, you know, it would be fake.
Okay.
Like they would just, you know, he would be down on the ground, you wouldn't see his leg snap or anything, you know.
Okay.
They would just take him out of the game.
How familiar are you with the sports predictions I've made and what I've been exposing about how rigged football games are for, you know, going on 4 or 5 years now?
I've been watching your videos for a few years now.
So you've probably heard me say everything about the NFL scripted from the final score to the box score to the hash mark. You've probably heard me say that before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you watch Monday Night Football this week?
Yeah.
So big numbers on the game. It was the first game of week 13. It was in Dallas, right? And Dallas is the city that sums to 13 in Gematria. The Dallas had a chance to end the Saints winning streak at 10. And you've probably, since you've been watching me for 3 years, heard that me talk about the relationship with 10 and 39. When you write out 10 as a word, it sums to 39 with the alphabetic order, like the 10 commandments from the 39 books of the Old Testament. Drew Brees is 39 years old. Did you notice that yesterday at halftime he had 39 yards passing?
No, I didn't notice that.
It was also, well, he did. That's why you should pay attention to what I say, because you can prove it every single week with the primetime, halftime stats. They're always synced with the ritual of the game. Also, it was the 29th. Dak Prescott got his 29th win. Football equals 29. Cowboy equals 29. 29 is the 10th prime number. Look at the final score of that game, 13-10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These leagues are so scripted. They're so exact, and it's week after week. And that's why I can confidently say that, yes, they could script Alex Smith breaking his leg on the, well, did he really break it? Anyway, they could script a play for that hash mark to be a tribute to what happened 33 years earlier. And we'll just leave it at that, because that's the only way anybody could ever look at that play and say it was. I mean, again, let's just go through the checklist. Alex Smith tackled on the same hash mark as Joe Theismann 33 years to the day. He finishes with the exact same amount of passes on the season as Joe Theismann. The game ends up finishing with the same score that it finished with 33 years ago to the day. And lo and behold, Joe Theismann literally has a nephew with the name Alex Smith, who's 33 years old. Doesn't that a little weird?
I mean, it is pretty mind-blowing if you think about it.
And what else have I been saying if you've been listening to me for 3 years? I've been saying that they birth these players. They are birthed and named accordingly on dates for their planned and scripted future roles. That's how everything lines up perfectly. And it almost makes me wonder if the Alex Smith in the NFL maybe grew up and was a better product than Joe Theismann's nephew, Alex Smith, who maybe didn't make the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, all right, man. I appreciate you taking this call, and thanks for the conversation.
All right. And I'm sorry I'm an asshole, man. It actually seems like you're an all right dude, but you kind of started off pretty confrontational, and I don't know where you came into this video, but I've been talking about very specific numbers with regards to the death of George H.W. Bush, and I've been saying when he dies, you're going to see how all these numbers show up, and they all did. Yeah. And they're all synced up with all of his family members like I said they would be. So, you know. All right. You have a good night, man. You take care.
You too.
All right. See you. Please mute your video. Mute your video. You're on. Caller.
Hello?
Yeah, you got to mute the video in the background. You're on the phone.
I just wanted to say, I think you're an American patriot, and don't let the small get you down.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Good advice for me, because sometimes I do let the small get me down. Remind me, where's that line from? I've heard that somewhere.
Is it Brett Favre?
That's where I heard it. That's where I heard it. Very funny. I think that was somebody doing a Brett Favre imitation. I don't think that was the real Brett Favre. But yeah, now I know where I heard that from. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen that video of Brett Favre going around endorsing a certain group of people. Let's go out to Texas.
Hello?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, man? The night that Alex Smith's injury happened, before anyone uploaded any videos, I looked into it myself, and there was actually a few things that I noticed. I don't think anyone else really mentioned it on a video. Was that Joe Theismann, when he won his Super Bowl, his only Super Bowl at 83, he was 33 years old. And let's see.
That's a great point.
The play clock stopped at 33 seconds.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. And if you pull up the box score, which is the craziest part, that sack, which technically counts as negative rushing yards, put Alex Smith at 33 rushing yards for the game. So
amazing. Hey, another thing that I could have mentioned is in the most pure cipher, Washington Redskins equals 85. So does National Football League, and it was 85 was the year that it happened to Theismann.
Yeah, and he won his only Super Bowl at age 33. Oh, and if you pull up the calculator on Chaldean and septenary, Theismann equals 33.
Nice, good work.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like I'm really not quite sure, how it really happened, but it's definitely so in sync with the numbers and the ritualistic part and paying tribute. But Gematria, it really has a organic nature to it too. Like it just, even in your own life and when you start decoding stuff, it's just insane that maybe the people that really run the show like just tapped into what was naturally always there. And when English was created out of all these other ancient languages, they finally just made the masterpiece of languages so in sync with reality and the matrix that we actually live in.
It's a theory. It's a theory, and I do think that something like that's going on. But I know they're definitely pulling shenanigans in the world of rigged sports. I know
it definitely is, but like just how they've tapped into how you can actually manipulate it by having the people with the right numbers and name and numerology. And some of the stuff that you were saying earlier of like it might actually be some spells. Like, I mean, it is like, well, the Gematria part of it is literally spells, but I mean, there might be, some other supernatural stuff going on behind it as well. But I definitely do believe in the organic side of it, because my mom, she passed away by all the numbers, by all the numbers of 35 and 33. She and her own name actually sums to 35. She passed away on 8/27/35. She was named after Pleiades. Pleiades is 35. Who's the most famous number 35 of athletes when you think about it?
The most famous 35. Well, it probably depends on what area you grew up. I'd say that in the current time, it's Kevin Durant, but
exactly, she has the same birthday as Kevin Durant. And
so what you're saying right now about how she's named after a person with the 35, if you read a numerology book, it says that the birthday you take on and the name you take on, all of that stuff will dictate what happens in your life. So it's absolutely understood that there is an organic side to this code, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's just controlled that way, and I don't know. I really think about like different possibilities, and I never really set my mind of what the absolute truth is, because when you set an absolute to it, but you can never find the whole truth. But
I agree. I'm the same as you.
The only thing that leaves you with patterns, like you can't just deny patterns. I mean, patterns aren't. It's a theorem. It's not a theory. That's like my biggest. The biggest difference that Gematria has in numerology is that it's a theorem and it's patterns that just repeat themselves.
Yeah, yeah. You make great points, friend. I'm sorry you lost your mother, but I really do appreciate your call.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. All right, you guys, the line's open. It's getting late. This video's getting long in the tooth. If anybody else wants to, oh, we got another caller from Atlanta. How are you, Atlanta? Well, you were there. Atlanta hung up. I don't know why. Atlanta, you there? Oh, you are here. Yeah, you're on. All right, here we go.
Okay, I seen that from a Tuesday, April 17th to Friday. Well, don't worry about the day. I'm reading the date-to-date thing. So from April 17th to November 30th is 227 days.
Right.
Or it's 7 months and 13 days, like Houston, Texas area code. Bush all about that 713.
Oh, great observation. And he died in Houston.
Got him.
Very good.
Got him. And then he's the 41st president, and the 41st prime is 173. Oh, yeah. Got him.
Nice work, man.
713. And then also the weird part. You ready for the weird? I started shaking a little bit when I seen this. Hold on. Shit, what? So first I did it from day to just from not from 2017 to 18. I just did it from April 17th to November 30th, 1818. But when you do it from the exact date that she died, Monday, April 17th, 2017 to Friday, November 30th, 2018, it's 1 year, 7 months, and 13 days. That's 713 again, 7113. I was like, wow, I seen that. Like, that is crazy, bro. Like, how is it? How is this? It's 713 everywhere.
Well,
and look, she died. Look, she died April 17, November 30th, 713.
yeah, you caught a great catch there, man.
Crazy. I just seen that because I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, 713 again. That is ridiculous. Bro, these people, man, that's spooky. I don't see how they just wake up and go to bed with all this. Like, this is weird, bro.
It is. Just everything they do is creepy. I mean, the whole wedding with the Bush daughter earlier this year synced up with her death, and just all of it. It's just everything they do is creepy, man. These people are the worst.
Yeah. It was another prime I seen that was 7132. I forget which one it was, but it was I think it was the 277th prime, like how many days was it? I forget. It was another prime. That was weird too. But man, Zach, you are brave, brother, going up against this power, because I don't think I can do it. You're brave, brother.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's all I want to do. I hate these people.
Thank you so much for opening my eyes. That's just what I've seen from now for the night that I can remember, man.
Well, you're very welcome, and I really appreciate your call. I suppose you're brave for calling and sharing that. But yeah, 713, Houston area code 713. I got it up on the screen so people can see.
Yeah.
Something else.
All right, man. Good night, man.
Yeah, you have a good night too.
All right.
Hey, I'm catching something else just looking at these area codes. I just talked about how William Russell, one of the founders of Yale Skull and Bones, died on his 281st day of his age, and how that's the 60th prime, and how skull equals 60. So the Houston area code has things going on. This connects to William Russell. Hey, be sure to mute your video, caller. You're on.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to get your thoughts on about, if any of this connects to Trump's, because you have talked before about Trump getting assassinated and all that.
It could happen. It's been foreshadowed. He's been compared to JFK and Nixon, who didn't finish their terms.
So do you think it's gonna happen this upcoming year, or he's gonna finish out, or what?
You call in I didn't, the whole time that I've been doing this, I didn't look at the relationship between Trump's birthday and his death today. It's on his 170. Today is Trump's 170th day of his age, and the word sacrifice is 170. I'm a little bit torn here on what's going to happen with Trump. I've been saying I do not expect him to finish this term, and he could go out with the 25th Amendment. There's a number of ways he could go out. He could resign like Nixon. It could be an assassination. I've been saying I don't expect him to finish this term, but one of my followers has been saying, come on, Zach, Trump equals 88. How does he not go 8 years? And I've been saying, I guess you could have a point there, but he keeps getting compared to Nixon, and he's drawn the comparisons to JFK. Those guys didn't finish their term. I gotta keep looking at the angles. Again, when Trump was running for president, they were dropping the riddles with what's his name? What's the name of the guy who tried to assassinate Reagan? He just got released from his mother's house. That's another story I need to go back and think about. You know what his name is?
Yeah. No, I don't. But I've heard about that story.
Yeah, he just got released from his mother's house earlier this month. John Hinckley Jr. And so there's all these little narratives flowing around. I think there's going to be some real big things that go down in 2019, as I've been talking about. Chaos equals 19. The Masonic motto is order out of chaos. And by the way, John Hinckley Jr.'s birthday is the 149th day of the year, like Skull and Bones is 149. So, and he's 63 right now, like how JFK was assassinated in the year 63. So, and look at this. John Hinckley freed from mental hospital 35 years after Reagan assassination, like how JFK was the 35th president. So there's just there's some narratives floating around, and I'll keep following them. So I don't have the answer for your question, but those are my thoughts at the moment.
Well, and I'm kind of waiting to see, that you predicted what's going to happen on the 11th of August this coming year,
right?
And all that. And I just want to see if that's going to add up to Trump or stuff like that.
Yeah, remember Trump's birthday is 58 days before August 11th, 2019, which is a date with 58 numerology, and third temple equals 58, and that's Tisha B'Av, to remember the destruction of the two temples, which is part of the prophecy of the third temple. And since I talked about that, a coin's gone on sale for Trump, or a coin's gone on sale in Israel, raising money for the third temple with Trump's face on one side of it. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now.
Well, brother, you take it easy. Thank you for taking my call, and I'll keep following your word.
All right. Appreciate the call. You have a good night.
You as well.
All right. Take care. Yeah, I think the big stories coming are going to be in 2019. But it's getting late, you guys. It's almost midnight out here. You East Coast people are night owls. I can't stay up that late anymore. Again, please, if you haven't done so, go out and pick up the book. Oh, we got a call from Houston. I got to take this one.
Again, please, if you haven't done so, go out and pick up the book.
Houston, can you mute your video? You're on the line.
Got it.
Thank you.
Great show, Zach.
Thanks, man.
Had to have another call from Houston.
Well, I appreciate it. We need the Houston callers. You guys got the knowledge.
Well, hey, man, this is a total CIA town. What do you expect? So
aren't we all, though? Aren't we all under CIA towns? I think it's...
Well, you know, some more than others. So
That's probably true.
Some more though. I mean, having lived in New York as well, I mean, Houston's right up there with them. But I agree with you. The Pacific Northwest is a hotbed for those things. But
Yeah.
the numbers on this one were like unbelievable. I mean, there wasn't a dull moment. I mean, how people could deny the connections and the interweaving. So, just wanted to hand it to you. You know, don't get down on the naysayers. A lot of people are slow, and I don't think you were too hard on that guy. You know, if you don't have your stuff together when you pick up the phone and start talking, you know, you can't. Nobody can blame you. I deal with this stuff all the time on Facebook. When I make comments about things, I made a comment today about Ebola, and I said by design. Unfortunately, somebody said, "Oh, you know, that's a conspiracy theory." I said, "No, there is a population reduction program happening right now across the globe. It's kind of obvious. It's kind of big.
Right.
They're probably doing it by the numbers, okay? But you know, you're gonna have a lot of people who just don't, who think they're awake and they're really not awake. And if they're not awake, don't take." You know, don't feel bad. I know the frustration. Just trust me. It's like walking in a wilderness of idiots.
Yeah, it is, man. Everybody's so quick to throw out that conspiracy theory and dismiss all the truth in the world, man. It just.
Did you see Corsi use that in one of his interviews this week? It was kind of funny, and he nailed it. You know, not that I have any position on his predicament right now. But they're labeling him as a conspiracy theorist, okay? And he said, well, you mean conspiracy theorist? You mean the term invented? And he said this right on MSNBC. You can look at the YouTube video. And he applied it perfectly. Now, I know Jerome Corsi personally, okay? But that's another story for another day, okay? And he is CIA, okay? But and he is part of a other faction of the deep state. But that's a story for another day. But he used that what I call it's a shibboleth for a kook, you know. So you know, he said, well, you mean what the CIA used for anyone who disagreed with the official narrative from the Warren Commission? And then he went through the whole thing about, you know, how a known guy couldn't, you know, and a mail order Italian rifle that couldn't shoot straight. It was so funny. He said it right on MSNBC. I said, okay, good for you, man.
Hey, if you have that clip, if you can find that in a clip and you could text it to me, I would be so grateful. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I have it right on my Facebook page, and I will send it to you.
I'm on Facebook too. You can share it on my Facebook wall. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll put it on your Facebook page. It's somebody got. There's a guy I follow. You know, a lot of these. The way I look at news, I look at clips from things for people who provide insight into the big picture. Okay, because that's how I look at it. As long as my big picture is being filled and that picture is being fleshed out, then that's what I look at. So this particular clip came from a guy named Project Emster. He got the right, he got the perfect clip of it, okay? Because it was only this portion of it, so you don't have to go through like 12 minutes of listening to a boring interview. He gets right to the point. So I'll find it right here. What I'll do is I'll send it to you through Messenger or through it, and or I'll just tag your name to it.
Awesome.
But it's pretty funny because this is like, oh, this is perfect, right on national TV, and he's like, you know, the guy didn't have an answer for it because, of course, he was expressing skepticism about Obama's birth certificate, and it was valid skepticism. Okay,
right.
So it's not like the guy's making up stuff. He says, listen, I have not seen a redacted live birth certificate that's not a copy. And what I saw was computer copy, and there were no computers back in 1961 to render a copy like that. So it's got a valid point, you know. Whether I agree with it or not is a different story, but he's got a valid point. he's saying the rules of evidence are kind of tenuous. So,
well, awesome call, awesome information. I look forward to that clip. I might have to play it on the live stream here coming up.
You'll like it because it's like he totally debunks the term once and for all in a manner in which it was perfect. I mean, well, it kind of makes sense given his background. He's not a dumb guy. So, good evening, good talk, and I'll catch up with you later, man.
All right, appreciate it, friend. You have a good night. Be safe down there. All right, take care, man. All right, we're almost to midnight. Any last callers? Should we wrap this thing up? Again, if you do want to call in, it's 509-731-05. Oh, there it is. Hey, Montana.
Hello?
Hello, Montana.
Oh, hi. This is Austin.
Hey, Austin.
All right. I wanted to get your thoughts real quick. I know it's getting late on a potential Saints-Patriots matchup.
Right.
And so from Drew Brees' birthday, January 15th to the date of the Super Bowl is 19 days, and I found that interesting as the Saints equals 19.
Right.
And also, you remember when the Red Sox won the World Series 99 days before the Super Bowl?
To conclude the 99th NFL season, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Patriots and the Saints have played a total of 14 times, and the Patriots' record is 10-4. So with the win, it could be 11-4, just like the 114th World Series.
That's a really good observation.
And also, assuming that the Patriots get a first round bye, that would be Tom Brady's 307th game all time, and 307 is the 63rd prime. And he has a chance to go 6-3 in the Super Bowl.
There you go. Here, I'll throw another one at you. This season and last season have a lot to do with the national anthem. The national anthem was written during the War of 1812. Remember, the first score of this season, the opening game was 18-12, and we were talking about the War of 1812 in this season before that game was played. The War of 1812 ended with the Battle of New Orleans. And for people out there, get to that Gematria calculator and type in Battle of New Orleans. Oh, well, you just did it for him. Yeah, just like Drew Brees. So, yeah, man. There's things going on with Mike Ditka too, and he coached the Bears and one other team in history. So.
And also when the Bears are having a good season, they're 8-3. So.
Yeah, they became 8-3 in Detroit, Michigan, 83. So. Yeah, you're right.
Drew Brees also equals 54. So I'm not sure if that means maybe Tom Brady loses to Drew Brees, but. I don't know. I like the 307th game all time, the 63rd prime. That's just. I had to laugh at that. That was really funny to me. Freemason
also equals 307 in Jewish Gematria, and Freemasonic 63. Hey, great call, friend. Appreciate it.
That the NFL is scripted to like a T every single game.
Well, we've already proven that a million times over. It's just like how Tom Brady became 223-65 after losing in the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia equals 223-65.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can prove it a million different ways, man.
Oh, a nice call on George Bush.
Thanks, dude. I should have had this date. I should have done the math on his son's birthday to today, and seen it, but. At least I had the podcast about how perfect today is for Skull and Bones this morning, so that was timely.
Yeah.
All right, man. You have a good night. Keep up the good work. You're doing it.
You too.
All right, take care. In case you guys weren't getting this point about 11-4, It was the 114th World Series. And in case you're new here, in July, I said if the Red Sox go to the World Series, they'll win in Game 5 because it's 99 days from the Super Bowl to conclude the 99th season. Let's go out to the 612. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, Zach?
Hey, it's
You
a.
might know me as some. You might know me as some fucking dude. You know, I chime in on some of your videos every now and then. My name is Jason.
You're out in Detroit, right? Detroit?
No, I'm in Minneapolis.
Okay, I saw you had the Minneapolis area code. I thought you lived in Detroit for some reason. All right, what's up, man?
No, man, Northeast Minneapolis. But you know, I don't have no fancy D codes right now or nothing like that. Besides the college championship, which we won't get into. But you know, I found it interesting. I caught your live broadcast late, but it's 11:30. November 30th that HW died on, and I found it interesting that it was 113 days after his wife, the Wicked Witch, died. You know, so that's the 113 again. You know, but that ain't really why I called. I just called to talk about, you know, how angry you get, man. You know what I mean? I totally understand. I know what you mean. It's frustrating, and you get frustrated with all people that call and get off subject, all that type of stuff. And I've been there. I do it. I've driven off a lot of people. It's irritating when you sit and deal with people that reject that. You know, it's like you lead them to water, you shove their face in the trough, and they still don't want to drink, you know. And so I want to just say that I understand, but I would just recommend trying to be more encouraging, you know, and because a lot of us, you know, and I said myself included, I'm learning a lot of this stuff. I appreciate every single little bit of the information that you throw out there. I try to follow along. I do, and I spend a whole bunch of time, but I just think that it would be more receptive if you encouraged. And hey, trust me, Zach, I'm not criticizing you at all. Like I said, right from the beginning, I understand, you know, but I think encouraging people more and trying to gain more people to join this whole movement and actually make a movement. And I really want to see all this stuff change. I'm sick of all this stuff that they do. And you know what? When I see all these headlines and everything in the news, I just roll my eyes and I don't even read the stuff anymore a lot of times. So it's hard for me to decode it because I know how stupid it is. You know? I mean, I see all these headlines. I see Trump and all this stuff making all these news things. And it's so hard to even buy into any of it. And then I click on your YouTube channel. I'm sorry, it's not your Patreon. But I clicked on your news channel, and I'd rather watch the news from you because I'm getting the truth. You know what I mean? And I appreciate every little bit of it. I just want people to not be driven away from the work that you're doing, man. I really appreciate it. You, Derek, I appreciate all of it. The Gematrinator, you know, I mean, and everybody, all these guys that call in and sit and criticize you and your work and everything, you know, you got to give them their chance and whatever. But man, read your comments. You can't waste too much time on some of these people. And you might hang up on me. Hell, I don't know. But I just, you know, but I do appreciate every single thing that you do. And I know that all your listeners that are listening, they all do. So don't be too angry about the dumb people. Give them their moment, let them down lightly, and then just move along. You know what I mean? Because when you get angry, it's the people that, you know, or I don't know. I don't even know. Come on, give me some feedback. Am I on the right track or what?
Well, I think you're right on to a lot of people. I know that there are some people who follow me who like when I get angry because they feel so angry too, so they can relate. But yeah, no, I'm agreeing with what you're saying, and you know, when it comes to this subject and getting ridiculed by trolls and idiots, you know, I lose my temper a lot, like you're saying. So
Right. You know what? And I can understand that because you got a big presence out there and you got a lot of people contacting you that none of us even know about in your off time, you know. You're not even when you're online working and whatever, you got people bugging you, and I know that, you know. But and I just want to say this too. I just want to throw this out there. There's a guy where I live. He's the big knocker on the radio during the drive time. You know, the sports talk radio guy. He's the most arrogant prick that I've ever heard on the radio. And you know what? Honestly, I would love to hear you get on the radio and talk with him and debate with this guy in front of a huge audience in the Twin Cities area. And I just would love to know if you'd be willing to do that.
oh yeah, I would love that, man. I would love to debate anybody. I will debate anybody, man. I will debate anybody. And I know how these sports radio idiots are all across the nation. I'd love to debate them all and just show them how rigged and fake these games are and do it in an undeniable fashion. These people would have nothing left to say. All they could do is sit there and try to mock and laugh, but they'd have nothing. So.
Right. And you know what, man? You know what? I know exactly where you're coming from. I know you're a lot more prepared with everything, all the work that you've done, and you'd be on point to be able to do it. And if I was able to set something up for you to be able to go on, you know, the drive time radio and sit, because this guy, he brings on authors onto the sports talk radio. All right. So he'll bring on authors that have nothing to do with sports, and he'll sit and interview them and talk with them, right? And you're an author, right?
Right.
So I would love to be able to, you know, but I can't, I'm not your like agent or nothing, so I can't just set something up without you knowing nothing about it. But if you would be willing to do something like that, you know, like I said, I'm some fucking dude. I texted you about the Fran the man. I know that was all over the place, but, you know, I think you know who I am at this point. But I could, well, whatever. If I contacted you back, you know who I am. If I would be able to set something up for you to be on an interview with this guy during the primetime, you know, bumper to bumper radio thing or whatever, as an author, and on a sports talk thing with the most arrogant jackass in the Twin Cities, would you be willing to do it?
Oh, of course. Yeah, man, I'm saving the number. You got to make it happen now. Now I'm all excited about it.
I'm gonna try. Hey, don't know. I'm gonna try. I will try. So you got it, man. And I will get back with you on that. And I don't want to take up all the airwaves, but you know, like I said, don't get angry with people. I've done it, and you know, all you're doing is throwing vinegar on people instead of honey. And you've got a lot of people. Trust me. A lot of the people, a lot of your viewers, a lot of people that have learned from you, I've learned from. And, you know, you've actually started a pretty damn good community, man, to be honest with you, because the information that people throw out there, I mean, if you're watching any of it and you get these little tidbits and everything, you know, I got a lot of money riding on the CFB, you know, and I think, you know, me and Justin Wise, you know, and he might be listening, but, you know, there's a lot of stuff to be had. And to the viewers, when we're talking about regular stuff, don't call in and ask about sports picks because it's kind of rude, you know. But other than that, Zach, I appreciate everything, man.
All right, friend. I appreciate the call and the advice. And I'm looking forward to that radio conversation. So if it happens, that'll be great.
All right, man. I'm going to try.
All right. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Take care.
You too.
It's funny that a caller calls in from Minneapolis, city that hosted the last Super Bowl. Don't forget, Minneapolis is 55, and the Patriots fell to 5-5 in the Super Bowl there. But Oh, Dallas, Texas, down in the state where it happened. What's going on, Dallas?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
Hey.
How's it going? I'm interested in you breaking down this guy that he used to work for Hot 97 back in I think the 2000 decade. He goes by the name of Star. Are you familiar with this guy?
Star?
Yeah.
I don't know who Star is. Star who?
He's his name is Troy Terrain, but he goes by the name of Star. He has a channel here on YouTube now, but he's a famous DJ for a hip hop station, you know, in New York, and he's been on many of different other ones too. But he's most famously known for the Hot 97 gig. But anyway, now he's here on YouTube, and he's always boasting about how his mother put him on with the DuPonts and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, and he always maintains that he's not a satanist. And I bust him on those type of things all the time, but he never confesses. He just maintains that he's an atheist and all this other nonsense. And I was wondering if you could decode this guy, because he goes live all the time. I'm always in this live chat, just messing with him or trolling or whatever. But I was wondering if you could,
Troy Terrain, DJ Star. That's him?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, I'm saving it. I'll do a decode on him, man. I'm not going to do it tonight, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. You have a good night.
You too.
All right, take care. All right, it's getting later and later. We should probably wrap it up. It's probably a good time to wrap it up. You don't want to make the video too long, then nobody will watch it. Oh, all right. One more caller. What's going on, Berkeley?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I only started watching 5 minutes ago. I have to go back and rewatch the whole thing, but I just wanted to say I personally like it when, or not like it, but it's just relatable, I think, when you do get mad. I think there's a certain authenticity to it. And like to ask someone not to be mad, it's just, I don't know, that's like almost asking someone not to be human. Like a lot of this is upsetting. The truth is upsetting. And as you know, I've only discovered you like 2-3 months ago. So I've been trying to go back and watch some of your old debates and some of your old videos. It almost seems like you've already kind of toned yourself down and kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're well aware of people's receptiveness to just, when you do get mad on the camera or whatever, or when you go on your rants. But I personally want to say those are the most relatable, and it's just, I don't know, I guess there's a certain emotional aspect to it that will, I think, resonate with a lot of people. I know for sure it does with me. And of course, you're so good at the non-emotional aspect as well, which is, just keeping things completely objective and teaching us, all these numbers, and it's all, observable and it's factual. So I don't know. I just wanted to get my piece in, or just to provide
some of the other side. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know that a lot of people, their favorite thing about me is when I rant and get angry. A lot of some people really don't like it. Some people do, but that's just the thing about this world. You can't please everybody. And I am always authentic. And when I get mad, it's because I'm pissed off. And honestly, I have had to check myself, because that's part of the reason I've had 18 channels deleted. So I can't say the things that I used to say. And I am regulated now, but,
I figured, but I really wish there was some way to access some of your old videos, because I really wish I got to see your channel back in like 2013, 2014, just seeing the natural progression. But some of those videos are probably lost forever, or maybe you have access to them. But
I got all the old videos on an external hard drive. I still have everything.
But you probably don't plan to re-upload them.
A lot of them will just get strikes right away, so I can't put them up.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say for tonight.
All right, man. Well, you stay strong. Appreciate the work you're doing out there. You have a good night.
Good night.
All right, take care. All right. All right. I know other people were trying to call too. What time did I start this thing at? This video is almost 2 hours long now. So I think we will wrap it up right here, you guys. So people who didn't see the beginning can watch from the beginning. That's where all the good, important stuff is. Oh, man. All right, John McCain land one more time. Hello.
Hey, Zach, this is Carla again.
Hi, Carla.
Me and another person in the chat would like to know, speaking of debates, you had a radio program the other day with a Freemason. Was that recorded by chance? I wasn't able to listen to it at the time, but I would love to hear it.
Oh, so here's how you get there. You go to tfrlive.com. You can listen to it right now. You can listen to it for free up to 10 days after it airs, the episode. So what you want to do is go to tfrlive.com, and then you want to scroll down until you find my show. So it's on the front page right now. And when you see the one that says the Gematria Effect with my mug on there, you just click on demand. And then you click the play button, and you'll be in business. He's the start of the show. He's on there from the beginning. So once it gets going, he'll be on.
Cool. All right. Joey, did you hear that? There was a guy in the chat, Joey something or other, and he had voiced the same interest.
Here, I'll go to the chat. I'll go to the chat and put the link in there, so it's.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I'll do it. Hold on.
Cool beans. All right, I'll leave you alone. Go to sleep. You sound tired.
Yeah, I will. All right, you have a good night.
Yeah, well, I'm an East Coaster, so we're up at 3:15 a.m., but I knew that this would be good tonight, so well worth it. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. You take care.
All right, honey, you have a good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see it. Yeah, I used to be able to stay up late. I used to always stay up late, but I don't know. My lady, she got me on the early to bed, early to rise schedule, which is how I've been for quite a few years now. Can I do a video on the KJV? Well, I've done quite a bit on King James and stuff in the King James version. In my book, there's quite a few notes, but I could always do more. There's a whole lot more decoding I could do on the Bible. Here, I'll link that one more time just in case it got buried. All right, you guys, let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to hit the like button. And once this is over, then when the video starts over, it'll actually be the content about George H.W. Bush's death, in case you guys are got here and you're like, where's the stuff on George H.W. Bush's death? Well, I covered all that, but then when I opened up the phone line, it just became a free-for-all, so. All right, good night, everyone. Be back tomorrow. Be sure to pick up that book, you guys. This book's the knowledge you need. More people got to have this knowledge. And again, I'm going to say one more time before I go. I literally need to get this sales number up to 10,000 so that I can get this book in print. You know, that needs to happen. You guys can help that happen. $5 for the book with some of the most amazing knowledge you'll ever come across. Come on, you guys. Can't even get a greasy hamburger that'll kill you for that much. You can't even get a half a nug of weed for all you smokers out there who haven't bought the book yet for $5. Come on now. All right, Truth Seeker. Until next time.